Good morning, bro. Welcome to Essentially. So, essentially, what this channel is a self-improvement, self-growth channel, fitness influence, essentially. So, giving tips on bodybuilding and ways to expedite your journey to success, such as like sharing knowledge that I acquire from various books, one of which we will discuss a little bit about today, and then other podcasts I listen to from other self-improvement coaches and life experiences, just sharing my knowledge along the journey and hoping you can benefit from it. So essentially I will come back 1 to 2 days every week, and words are hard in the morning. It's like 6:30, so yeah, I thought I'd wake up and start the morning right. But the topic for today's video comes straight out of a book called Think and Grow Rich. So I'm sure you've heard of it. The author his work is exceptional. His name is Napoleon Hill. I definitely recommend you pick this book up. It's like $17 on Amazon, and the information is life-changing. So essentially what he talks about in this book, the key point in this book is discussing these 13 steps to riches, which Mr. Hill states that you must master all 13 of them to be successful, and well, not to be successful, but to greatly expedite your journey toward your destination. So essentially meaning that these steps are crucial, but they're not going to determine your ultimate success. Like, you're not going to fail if you don't master all 13 of them, obviously. So, but the primary one we're going to be focusing on today is the 10th step to riches, called Mystery of Sex Transmutation. The word transmutation means to reconvert or transform your energy or anything into a different form, which can be distributed elsewhere. So essentially what this means, and what Mr. Hill means when he's talking about sex transmutation, is the fact that he's talking about mastering your desires and emotions associated with love and sex. So essentially what he says in this book is the fact that the desires a man feels, the emotions and desires a man feels for love and sex, can often be harnessed and transmuted or reconverted into a different energy, which you can redistribute into your work or life or any point, any task or purpose you are trying to ultimately fulfill. I would like to talk about today is how to master this step, because it is of crucial importance. Some examples of men in history and present day that have benefited under the influence of women in love and sex, and how they became successful, and then examples of what happened when they lost their woman, their first love, or the one that they sought after the most to provide for, to live for. So essentially, and then the last thing we'll be talking about is some of the characteristics of these men that are highly sexed. So yeah, let's get right into it. First things first, I would like you to pause the video and think of many influential men around the world, such as, Andrew Tate doesn't count, so if you think of Andrew Tate immediately, you need to think of someone else, because yes, he is very successful. However, this rule doesn't really apply to him, because we see no valid sources of this law being applicable to his life, because I don't know if he has a wife. I don't do research on Andrew Tate, but he's a very influential man, and I highly respect what he has to say. But just think of some of the men in history or in present days, the most hyper-successful men on the planet, CEOs, business owners, self-improvement coaches, stuff like that. And consider what if they have women in their lives. And once you thought of a few, come back to this unpause video, and then we'll get back into the next part. Welcome back. So now hopefully you've thought of something else other than Andrew Tate, like I said not to. And let's think of the women that are in their lives. Are they more feminine in nature, or are they more masculine in nature, meaning that their emotions, the way they think, are they more of a leader, or are they more of a submissive role in the relationship? And then let's think about how they may influence the lives of these men, driving them towards success. And once you have done that, I mean, just take about 30 seconds and then come back. So enough pauses. We're going to get back into talking about so hopefully you did come up with some of their traits, characteristics, and how they may influence the men around them. So benefiting their lives, pushing them toward their next goal. Just what would you think that they were responsible for and how they influenced their men in their lives? So I would like to draw upon one of the men that Mr. Hill talks about in his book, and that is Napoleon Bonaparte. For those of you that didn't pay attention in history class, Napoleon Bonaparte was the first leader and emperor of the French Empire. He was a conqueror from the late 1700s to early 1800s. I think his reign stopped at about 1805. Could be a little off there. But anyway, he was just a normal man, normal soldier, and then he desired more. He was a conqueror, so he desired more. Obviously, men get greedy, and they want to conquer everything they see. Obviously, that's a good trait to have to a certain extent. But essentially, he really didn't discover his true desire to conquer until he met his first wife, Josephine. So Josephine was his first wife, and after he met her, he went on to win various battles for years and years. He had lost a battle for years. Now, let that sit for a second. So what I'm saying is, or what Mr. Hill is trying to convey, is the fact that this woman, after he met her and became the love of his life, he was able to do not only conquer, but to seek more, because of the fact that he wanted to reconvert his sexual desires and his love for her into his ability to seek his purpose. He thought his true purpose was to conquer everybody and to lead them. And we saw that he was very successful at conquering and leading, going on to win many battles. And I think there's a show on Netflix or something about him. It's called Napoleon. It might be on Netflix. It's one of the streaming services. But anyway, I'm not sponsored by them, and I don't ever plan to be, but that's okay. But I'm sure it's great. It's probably does some important points. I haven't seen it. Just throwing it out there. If you want to watch it, go for it. Anyway, so the story ends. It's a very short story in the Think and Grow Rich novel. It ends after Mr. Hill decides to cast out his first wife, his first love, and he calls her a distraction to his purpose, essentially. Not sure why, because after that, subsequent failure just continues to rise. So he loses his first battle in years at St. Helena, wherever the hell that is. I have no idea. I studied the body and self-growth, not geology and geography. So, anyway, he loses his battle after losing his first wife, indicating that his wife had a very influential role over him. Now, essentially tying this back into what we were talking about, the whole premise of this video is to not fear women, not to go out. I'm not saying to go out and rail as many women as you can, because obviously you're not just going to get that spark of success and this ultimately be driven. No. What Mr. Hill points out very clearly in this Step to Riches is the fact that overindulgence is a key determinant of your success. So if you overindulge in sex or essentially masturbate, if you're, a weak man, you got your phone in your left hand and, you're jacking your weebie, it's obviously a misrepresentation of what he's actually trying to say, and you're ultimately failing you're losing your potential, you're wasting your potential. And not only you're wasting your potential, you're wasting your time. Because we all know we're men, you sit there and you just edge, and it's so wasted your time. So essentially what he's talking about is the harnessing these desires, these emotions. Excuse me, I don't know why I'm getting voice cracks. That's crazy. He's harnessing these desires, these emotions, and redistributing them into your work. So taking that energy and focusing it elsewhere, on the task at hand, on your task to come, on your day to come, whatever it may be, just so you may thrive and flourish in your daily tasks or your goals that you have set or your purpose. So next part is how to actually master this step. So essentially, I already talked about it. I gave a hint of it. You need to not go out and hook up with as many random women as possible, because obviously you're not going to find anything out of that. You're going to find more of, let's say, upset and I would say misled and unsure of your path and your purpose. Same thing with, sitting in your bedroom watching porn. You're not going to find your purpose looking at your phone watching porn. You won't. I promise. We've all done it, and it's gotten me nowhere. I know it's gotten me nowhere. And then I stopped, and I've been on NoFap and abstinence for almost a year. February will be a year, and the results, the feelings, the mental clarity, it's exquisite. I love it. I'll never go back to that. Well, I will eventually when I find a loving feminine woman that deserves to have that, deserves to endure my love. So, where were we? Oh yes, how to master this step. So essentially what I'm going to be talking about is how to master this step efficiently and how it can benefit you. So I mentioned not masturbating. That's going to be one of the biggest, and not seeking meaningless love, meaningless intimacy with women that doesn't benefit you in some way, where there's no love actually involved. Instead, you can just save that energy, reconvert it, and then harness it and redistribute it back into your work or your daily habits. And what we'll see is you'll feel more enthusiastic. Mr. Hill uses the fact that men who were highly sexed, like salesmen, had ultimately exponentially higher sales, because they were under the influence of women, and they had mastered the appropriate indulgence in sex, in love. Not overindulgence, not underindulgence, just the appropriate amounts. So anyway, we were talking about how to master this step. So essentially why it's important to master this step and how it can benefit you the most is, well, obviously the first step in mastering this is to reduce the indulgence in sexual expression. So masturbation, porn, don't watch porn, it's terrible for your brain. And it hinders your mental capacity. So I don't even know why you're wasting your time watching it, and it wastes your time. So there's that, and then limit the exposure not limit your exposure, but limit your indulgence and involvement in meaningless intimacy with women. Meaning that don't just go out and hook up with random women. I know to discuss that earlier. So I had some in my eye. Okay, we're back at it. And why this talk about for a second why this is so important to actually master. So when you think the body and the brain respond to emotion, when we think about it, humans are emotional creatures. We gotta face it, we are. And it's sad, but it's true. Our motive is want. And if we can reconvert our want of love and desire, of love and sex into a want of success and future freedom, then you're almost unstoppable because the brain, if you can reprogram your brain, essentially what Mr. Hill is saying is reprogramming your brain to um, think of love and sex differently and to apply yourself fully to it and not overindulge, you will find that your brain can be rewired to want to be successful. So, meaning, we'll take homeostasis for example. So, homeostasis means that the body is in total equilibrium. So, the internal environment of the body is completely balanced. Everything is perfect. Intake matches output. All the metabolic processes, the products equal the initial input. So, when you think for a second, what happens to your brain when you're out of homeostasis? So let's take exercise for example. So when you exercise, your body becomes out of homeostasis. Is the main role of your brain to direct action of the body to return it to homeostasis, so that the brain and the body may live in balance. So, the exercise example: when you exercise, you become quite thirsty and often dehydrated. Well, what is the natural instinct when you're dehydrated? Drink water, right? You need water. So your brain is going to initiate a conscious desire for water. And comparing this to the step of sex and love transmutation, you can essentially rewire your brain to think it is almost out of homeostasis when you do not have essentially where you want to be in life, and to drive to give it that goal, almost like a natural instinct to seek water or seek food when you're hungry and thirsty. So once you have brought that back to homeostasis, or once you bring your body back to homeostasis, that desire goes back, or returns and fades away. Now you're back to essentially nothingness, and then all of a sudden it comes back again. It's random. Okay, so it's not all the time you're constantly motivated, because people often misconstrue this idea that you're just constantly going to be motivated. Discipline is what really matters. If you have the discipline, you will do the work when you need to do it. Motivation only lasts so long. That's why you have to use this step carefully, because yes, it is powerful, and sex and the desire for love are very potent motivators of a man. It has to be used carefully because it doesn't always last forever. So use it in the way that it's meant to be used, or redistribute your energy when you need to the most. Don't redistribute it into like video games. Like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna convert my love for my woman, or my desire to have sex with women, into hitting Master Prestige on fucking Call of Duty. No, you're wasting your time, buddy. Don't do that. First of all, you shouldn't play video games all the time. You're just hindering your brain's capacity to think. So that's another video I will make in the coming future, discussing how video games impact your life and how it impacted mine, and the benefits I saw when I quit video games. It happens, man. I get it. It takes time, and it's a distraction. It's away from life. But we need to focus up and grind. Okay, so we need to find our purpose, and then you need to go all in on your purpose. The final topic I would like to discuss, after what we have discussed already, The characteristics, but we haven't discussed the characteristics. That's the next point, is the characteristics of the man that is highly sexed, that has mastered this step to riches. So the first characteristic of a man that is highly sexed and has mastered the step of transmutation of sex and love is a handshake. So a firm handshake. You ever get the feeling when you go and introduce yourself to somebody, I hope you introduce yourself to people, because you need that social interaction, because not only does it increase your testosterone, it increases your confidence around everybody, essentially. And people are good to have in your life, so don't just cut out people from your life. So yeah, you know that feeling when you just have a really solid ass handshake with somebody. Like, I mean, meat on meat, it's perfect. The handshake is just chef's kiss, and you all of a sudden you have an attraction for that other person. You highly respect them. I know you've felt this before. It's most common in men, because women don't really give handshakes that often. You just get a sense of masculinity from that other person. Your respect for them increases drastically, and this could be one of the primary determinants or characteristics of a man that is highly sexed in nature or is highly masculine. The second characteristic is their tone of voice. So essentially their tone is charming and their words are clear and precise. They're not straying off from their topics, their thoughts, their speech. They're sticking straight to the point, focusing on what they are talking about in the present moments, and not straying off topic and allowing other ideas, other voices to infiltrate what they're talking about. It's usually most common with men that talk slow and they're comfortable in speaking in front of people, as of similar to like a leadership style. This demonstrates masculinity, obviously. The higher you feel, not the higher you feel among people, but the more confident you are in your ability to speak, and your tone and the speed with which you talk will, and the depth of your voice, obviously, will play a large factor in determining what people think of you. And you will ultimately find that men with that are more they're slow speakers, they have an ease of speaking in front of people, so it becomes easy to them. They're enthusiastic, they're leaders, and their tone is charming, and their voice attracts you. Like, it's pleasant to the ears. The third characteristic is a man's bodily postures. When you think of a man that is highly confident and highly sexed, or has mastered this step, Napoleon Hill points out that his spine will be erect, so he will be walking chest elevated and pushed out, almost asserting dominance. Eye contact with everybody whom he passes, giving a slight grin, just allowing himself to feel free in his own body. First of all, a man who can't make eye contact with another person is often seen as mistrusted and a liar. So not only does eye contact show dominance and confidence, but it also shows you are true and trustable and honorable. The fourth characteristic of a man that has mastered this step is the fact that it's interesting, because you can't really see it, but it's basically his thought processes. So essentially meaning that how he articulates things after thinking for a short period of time, how he intakes all the information, sits there, analyzes everything critically and concisely, and then doesn't speak out prematurely. He essentially acquires all the details, and then develops and formulates a precise plan of action, and then speaks and delivers his plan of action to everybody. The final characteristic of a man that is highly sexed and has mastered this step is his visual appearance. So he is confident in his clothing choice. He wears things that express his personality, express his physique, his bodily posture, etc. So most men will dress nice, or they will dress comfortable, whichever they feel, because let's be honest, they are comfortable in anything they wear, whether it be their presence um, or the way other people see them in their eyes. They don't care. They wear what they want to wear, whether it be dress pants and a suit or it be sweatpants and a t-shirt. I mean, either way, they go out in public and they're confident because they select clothes that will express their personality, that will really enhance their physique, so show off their physique. Usually shirts that are capped around the delts, tight around the chest, and squeezing the biceps and the triceps, and pants that kind of fit pretty tight on the quads, tight on the glutes, and a little loose on your calves and lower hams, or your calves and your feet, your ankle area. Compliment his presence to everybody. That is all I have for you guys today. Hopefully you have learned something of knowledge with which you can apply to your life, whether you are in a relationship or not, seeking love, or really just mastering this step in general will exponentially speed up your growth in your movement toward your destinations, and your destination being success in whatever endeavor you have prioritized. So thank you guys for watching. I will see you guys here shortly with a couple more videos. Until next time, brother, stay safe, stay strong. Welcome to Ascension.